It's Monday morning. Just woke up. Actually, I woke up a while ago. Went downstairs to make some eggs. And to my discovery, I'm never buying eggs from Walmart again. Why? Because 6 out of the 18 were probably not broken. They also don't taste that fantastic either. So obviously they've been sitting on the shelf for a while. And I expected the staff at Walmart to recycle old expired product. But I guess I expected too much. Don't make $1 by tossing out expired stuff. Make $1 by selling stuff to people and hoping they don't return it. Oh, for frig's sakes. So, whatever. I'll drive this in my face. Probably gonna have to hit the grocery store tonight after work and pick up some more eggs. Man, I paid like $6 for that 18 pack of eggs, I think. And they suck. I'm gonna mix up another G Fuel to get some more juice going up in this bench. Probably should feed the animals too because Oreo looks hungry and well, Scampers is always hungry. Especially if she can see the bottom of her bowl, which she probably can because it looks pretty low. So let's go ahead and give the animal some food. It's supposed to be 22 degrees Fahrenheit. You're gonna focus. There we go. 22 degrees Fahrenheit out today, which what's the current temperature out right now?
The current temperature in North Bay is minus 13.
Okay, that's not too bad. Had a buddy ask me what I think of the G Fuel and the pre-workouts in the morning instead of a coffee. And I gotta say, guys, with these pre-workout shakes, and especially this baby right here, the Amino Plus Energy, what I like is you get energy, but you don't get a crash. Where with coffee, I found it worked great, but then when it wore off, you were ready for bed. I find with the with these energy mixes like G Fuel and these pre-workouts, they all have that same, gives you tons of energy, but when they do wear off, you just level out. You don't go dip below. So it reminds me of back in the day when I used to drink Rockstar, but without all the bullshit that Rockstar has. And after doing some research on pre-workout shakes and stuff, just to see if it would have the same side effect as a Rockstar, apparently not. Like I said, my brother, so like, he asked me, he goes, all last week, he goes, you didn't have coffee. I said, well, I had some on the weekend. And he's like, but how did you feel throughout the day? And I was like, I felt fine. I felt like I slept well, and I was alert at work, and I was good to go. So now he wants to, he went out and bought the same shit I bought, but he bought the C4. Well, that's what I mean by the same shit. And he's going to try it this week, and he's going to let me know how he feels having C4 instead of coffee in the morning to get the motor running. And I told him, I said, the cool part about it is you could always clean out your shaker cup when you're done, load some powder in there, seal it up, and then when you're at work, if you need another pick-me-up, fill it with water, down the hatch. So that's one thing I like about it, is if you need to bring one with you, you could easily do that. Just leave the powder in there and then fill up with water at your location and go for it. Like, I keep a shaker cup at work and one at home. But yeah, man, it's friggin' sweet. Alrighty guys, it's 20 after 8. It's time to fire up the truck, get ready to head into work, put in that time, earn that cash, make that paycheck, so we can buy more steak. Not sure what the heck today's vlog's gonna entail. I'm starting to think that battery on the Ford doesn't really like the cold. Some of the days there, I go to start it and just like it just doesn't want to turn over or some nonsense. Who knows? So after talking to Krusty about the whole install in the kitchen on the lights and how they look like shit but they work, man, I got some serious bags happening underneath my eyes, eh? Weird. But he said you can get some spacers. So I went on Amazon yesterday and looked. And yes, you can get spacers for, you know, situations like mine, which would probably allow me to put a light plate or a plate over top of those switches. But the other thing is I don't know if I should really care. Like I said, this house is derelict as balls. It's not like you can accidentally slide your finger in there and touch a live wire. The switches pretty much fill the box. So I'm just not going to worry about it. Just not going to care. Just going to leave it the way it is. It's not dangerous. Besides, half the time I use my voice to turn off and on the lights downstairs anyway. I don't even touch the switches. You know, unless it's convenient to go over and touch the switches. Alrighty people, it's freaking go time. Time to go into work, put in that time, make that cheddar. Gonna rock a piss first. And then we're gonna hit the road. Should be getting a parcel today, so that's pretty sweet. I know I said I was going to quit vaping come the new year, guys, but you know what? I decided I'm not going to do it. Mainly because I enjoy it. I know what you're saying. You're like, oh, Adam, but you said, yeah, well, turn everything off.
Okay, turning 11 things off.
11 things now. We went from 8 to 11. Gotta love it. But I said I was going to do it, and then I decided against it. You know what? I enjoy it. It's like candies without all the sugar and nonsense. It's the only sweets I get. So, the way I see it is, it's not hurting anybody. It's only hurting me. And I don't really vape much at work anyway because of how hard they make it to do. Because they don't want smoking on the property and they treat vaping like smoking. And I mainly do it at home. So, my new vape supplies to make juice should be here. Hopefully today, and then we'll be rolling. I'm not using nicotine or anything. I'm just using the vape because I like the taste. Anyway, let's pitter patter and have at her. Get off to work and put in our time. Oh, we're home. Got notification. My package should be here. No, it's definitely not here. This is just bills. They said it was successfully delivered. Where the heck is it? Oh. Found it. It's right there. Okay. Back. So angry. Better grab this. Ugh. This is not easy. Back it up. Would you calm down? All I gotta say was today started off good, but ended bad, but that's okay, because tomorrow it's gonna be worse. Oh my god, guys. I need a steak. Basically, today it started off great. Simple, easy, doing the job. And then at 3:55 p.m., they decide to pass a policy which will allow basically block non-corporate phones from accessing the email system, and it required you to be registered with a certain program in order to do it. Problem is only a quarter of the organization has this application on their phone for whatever reason. Wonder what I'm doing? I'm opening this package to see what's in here. It's kind of small for what I normally order. Oh no, they just angled their order weird. I'll show you guys. So we got a liter of vegetable glycerin, which I plan on making into one complete flavor. And then I bought glazed donut, blue raspberry, and yogurt flavors for making e-juice. So that's pretty sweet. But what I'm getting at is 3:55. 4 o'clock, everybody leaves. So there's only 3 people left to work the night shift. Those 3 people are about to be held. I remember I used to be one of those people. I feel for these guys. It's not very cool what they did to them. Kind of a dick move. Normally in the IT division, you usually use a system analyst type approach. You consider a change, and then you look at the user impact and go, how many people is this going to affect? And then you try to come up with a solution on how to limit the impact, or worst case scenario, notify people. This is going to happen, not may happen. This is going to happen. This is how we're going to alleviate it. And you do it when there's going to be a lot of staff on duty so that you can handle the workload that's about to come in. You don't do it when everybody's leaving and the skeleton crew is coming in to run the night shift, because that's just stupid. At least that's what I was taught in school. If you're going to make a huge change, you do it when you got staff to cover the impact. Guess they didn't go to school. So I feel really bad for the guys working tonight, because they're going to be in for a shit show like no other. And what can I say? They're going to have to deal. Well, I'm moving my steaks ready because I'm freaking hungry. All I ate today was eggs for breakfast, had a Caesar salad for lunch, and now this steak for dinner. Cut the calories, cut the fat, try and get a jawline that doesn't have 2 chins, alright? Because 2 chins is too many. Oh yeah, steak is ready. Steak is ready. Motherfucking steak is freaking ready. Freaking love steak. So I'm gonna go drive this in my face. Looks like I got a bunch of videos to watch because everybody uploaded today. Big Brother, Kid Behind the Camera, and McJuggernuggets. Yay, stuff to watch. All those guys used to be daily vloggers. Now they quit daily vlogging. Bunch of Sallys. I just got done watching those 3 videos I mentioned. It's currently 7:30 at night. Holy crap. I swear the McJuggernuggets video was an hour long. Nice house you went and checked out though. Way too big, but nice house. That's the thing, like when I bought this house, guys, when I went out shopping, the way the mortgages worked in Canada was when you went to get your mortgage and pre-approved, it was a sled up the street. What they do is they ask you for a pay stub, then they find out what your annual income is, then times that by, I think it was 3, and that's how much they pre-approve you for. So I got pre-approved at the time for $210,000, and that's when I started going shopping. Now I could have bought a way bigger house than what I bought here. This little 900 square foot shack that I live in. I could have bought a big house like what my parents have. But I was thinking more economically. Like I knew I didn't want to have kids. I knew I didn't want to bother with the whole family nonsense, you know. I did want to get like a wife or a girlfriend or whatever the case may be. But I wasn't really hunting for a place to raise a family because honestly that's never appealed to me. Just the way she be. So I ended up that time. We started searching in March and we didn't make the call until mid-May, and that's when I got this place here. But some of the houses we looked at, one was $157,000. It was bigger than this place, had a full basement, unfinished, had a bathroom off the main bedroom, 2 other bedrooms with a bathroom. The downside to it was oil furnace, so you had to call a company to come and fill up a big tank in the backyard full of oil. And the driveway, which kind of bothered me, was a shared driveway. Now what I mean by that is your house and the neighbor's house, you have one laneway going back and then it V's off. So you both share the same part of the driveway until you V off into your own general quarters behind your house. So kind of cool that your car was tucked away, but the driveway wasn't wide enough for me to park the Trans Am and at the time the Ford Focus side by side and have them both easily accessible. You'd constantly be playing the car swap game if you wanted to switch vehicles. Now you're probably thinking, Adam, that's kind of a weird turnoff. Well, the oil furnace, yeah, oil ain't cheap. Running an oil furnace gets pretty spendy versus forced air gas. Way spendy. The house looked nice on the inside. Had some problems though. Like the floor in the living room was kind of springy because the way they built it was really, really, really weird. Like they had the joist boards going across, but there was no center supports underneath. They're literally mounted to the wall. Like it was a real old design. I had to turn that house down. I had no choice. And also it was like downtown in the main core, which I really didn't want to live down there because a lot of meth heads live there and it's pretty shady, sketchy area. Another house we looked at was kind of in a busy location in town. Always traffic on the roads, like bad traffic, like not like bad as in like veering off the road bad. I mean like lots of traffic. So getting in and out of your driveway was kind of a pain in the arse. I remember we went and checked that one out. Actually, I went by myself to check that one out. Dad wasn't available. He was at work. So I said, I'm just going to go with the realtor. I'm not going to act excited. I'm just going to check it out, check out the rooms, check out the area, take some pictures. I had my old Kodak point and shoot at the time. Snap some shots of the place. And sitting here, standing here, the cat just licked my hand. Freaking startled me. Didn't realize she was there. Look at her. She just wants attentions. I mean, she's such a good kitty. The whole time I was there, I checked it out, and forced air gas, 2-car driveway, no garage. That was kind of because I really wanted, you know, a decent sized house with a garage, wide enough driveway to have both cars out in the summer, and nothing too big because you got to heat a big house. You know, that's one of the things I was looking at. Like, you know, a house like my parents' size would be way too big for me because I'd have to heat that whole thing and I wouldn't use it. This house here potentially now is big enough for me. But before, when I used to just live out of the room upstairs and come downstairs to rock a piss and use the kitchen to cook food, theoretically, if this house consisted of this room with a kitchen, I'd be okay. Oh, and a bathroom. Like if literally my house was this room and the way it was built before, and I'll talk about that after, because a lot of people ask questions about that in the ground, and the bathroom, cut it here, delete the stairs, no upstairs, I would be okay. I would be okay. Not exactly an ideal location to raise a family, but that was never my concern. I just wanted to get something so I didn't have to pay rent. That was my idea back when I was 26. There was another place I looked at, and literally it was a mobile home on a plot with a frame built around it. And I was like, oh yeah, like I went there and I was like, okay, well this is an interesting concept of a house. And then I went inside and walked around and went, okay, this is good. This is fair size. This will work. And there was a garage. It was one of those, those metal tin garages that you buy, like a storage warehouse with an opening door. So I was like, okay, cool, right on. But they wanted way too much for it, and that's when he mentioned that it's actually a double wide trailer. And insurance companies sometimes don't like to insure them, and getting bank loans for double wides sometimes can be a little bit more spendy than buying a house because they just don't hold their value. And I was like, oh, pump the brakes, we out. The one house I almost made a move on wasn't quite in the downtown core. It was closer to work at the time, which was on Terra. Really nice house, double wide driveway, basement, main level, upstairs. 1,360 square feet of space inside the house, big backyard, nice enclosed area, and it had all the wiring hooked up for a hot tub. The owners took the hot tub with them. I was like, holy crap, and they wanted $170,000 for it. And I was considering it until somebody bought it from underneath me. That's when Dad told me, sometimes things happen for a reason. I think it was right. There's also a road in town called Premier Road, way the frig down yonder. And this house I looked at was on the lake. Small house like this one here, about 1,000 square feet. But they wanted $230,000 for this place. So I'd require to put 20 down on it right away just so I can meet my mortgage. But the property taxes, it was on the lake. The property taxes for that place would have been close to $5,000 a year. Now, a lot of you out there are probably thinking, well, that's not too bad because you probably live in high tax zones. But guys, on this house right now, I pay $1,200 a year for property taxes. That would have been extra money that I wouldn't have to spend. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for something that wasn't going to break the bank, be comfortable to live in, and had all my features. Then my realtor comes up to me and says, well, I don't really have any other... Was this really a thing with these? See, I tried to film down here and all these guys want to do is fight. So my realtor didn't really have any things. So I jumped on a website here called MLS.ca. It's like massive listing site or multi-listing site. Anyway, it's a site where every realtor in town, like Remax and there's a couple others. The only reason why I know Remax is that's who I went with. There was a house listed on there, but there was no retail, there was no place listed as it. Like they didn't have an owner. Like it wasn't like Remax or any of the other ones, Century 21 and all that. And I'm like, well, okay. So I called my realtor and I'm like, hey, I found a house on MLS. Here's the number. Is this one of yours or whose is this? And he came back and he said, actually, this is a private deal, but if you'd like, I could contact the guy and set something up. And I said, okay, do it, because I didn't know how to do that. And now it's easy. There's actually people who do private sales on their houses all the time and go through property guys. But anyway, at the time, that wasn't a thing. So he ends up calling me up and he's like, yeah, man, it's available. And that was this house here. So Dad and I come over. See, my neighbor, his great-grandfather built this place way back in the day, back in 1904. Or grandfather or something. Anyway, he built this place. But it wasn't like this. And I'll explain that later on too, and I explain why there's a hole in the ground, or why there's that mark on the ground over there. Basically, back in, or what happened was people would come in here, they'd look at the place, say, okay, you know what? I'll make you an offer on the approval of a inspection. So they'd have a house inspector come through, and the house inspector said, oh, the joists downstairs are dry rotted, this floor is going to cave in on itself any day now. And there's aluminum wiring in the house. Dad and I went downstairs. I told Dad this, and Dad's like, Adam, He grabs a rock off the ground because there's stones under there. It's just dirt. And he hits the joist. Doosh, doosh, doosh. He goes, this is a solid beam. It's not going anywhere. He goes, this is fine. This house is fine. He's like, it needs some work. He goes, it's old. There's not a perfect corner in any one of these rooms. But for a starter home, this would be a good place. They wanted $135,000 for this. Now, the aluminum wiring, we looked at that. It was all knob and tube aluminum. All the aluminum was going to baseboard heaters that have already been deleted. Most of them have been removed. We removed the ones out of here. We removed the ones out of there. There's still one in the bathroom, but it's disconnected. There was one in the kitchen against that wall, and you can sort of see where it was. If you notice how the stucco just kind of stops, and you can actually see the outline from it a little bit. Like, you can actually almost see the outline of where it was. What do you want? What? Can you speak? Cute. Then we deleted them all. Now, what we actually did was we used, over here there was a power underneath the ground here, and we ended up tying copper to it and then pulling it through, and we ran it fresh right off the breaker copper line going down here into an outlet, which you won't be able to see, but it's back there, which is what the microwave's powered on. But anyway, back on the talk of the story. I offered, we looked it over, and I had a house inspector come through who basically said the same thing. And Dad said, ignore that guy. Buddy wanted $135,000 for the house. I told my realtor, tell him we'll offer him $100,000 and let me know what he comes back with. Guys, that day there, not even, I had to go to work. By the time we were done looking at this house and leaving, I was basically leaving here and heading to work. I get a call from my realtor. He goes, Adam, great news. I'm like, what's that? He was like, sold. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, $100,000. House is yours. So I went $110,000 under my spending limit, which literally makes my mortgage, guys. This is all I pay to live here. $334 bi-weekly pays my mortgage, my taxes, and my insurance on the mortgage. On top of that, hydro, seeing how it's finally starting to smarten up, I pay a bill $20 a month, and gas is $80 a month. So $200 covers my utilities and $56 a month for water. It's pretty cheap. So if you think about it, I pay about $1,000 a month to live here. In North Bay, to rent an apartment for $1,000, you literally get a bedroom, a bathroom, and a little living room and a kitchen that's about the size of my bathroom, like a tiny little shit kitchen. You get, maybe if you're lucky, parking. Maybe. Some places don't even offer parking. You got to park on the side of the road or just not have a vehicle. Like where my buddy's living down the road, he pays $1,100 a month, and I can fit his apartment in my living room. That's how small it is. So I was like, yeah, sold. Sweet. Man, you guys got to quit fighting. Like a lot. Oreo just lunges at the cat. So in reality, I think I did great. I bought this house, and when I first bought the house, back here was this makeshift entertainment center. Yeah, that didn't last long. That came down. You guys never seen that. That was before the whole Skaven days and vlogging life. That came down, and that's why there was exposed shit back there. Remember that? You could see the pipes, and you could see... Well, before there was this ridiculous makeshift freaking TV stand that you could put a 27-inch CRT TV into it, and it was kind of bunk. It was pretty ghetto. So that came out. The carpet came out, and that's when... And I was like, what the heck is going on here? This is a mark from a sliding door of some fashion. What is this? Also, why is the wall splitted here? What's really going on? So I talked to my neighbor, because like I said, his grandfather built this place. Turns out, guys, what I'm walking in right now, this used to be the kitchen and the living room. That back there, from about here over was countertop space, which was the kitchen. There's actually, if you go underneath, you can see the plumbing. The copper is still there, not hooked up, but it's still coming down and is there. He used to have that, and then this window here was never like this. It was actually a smaller window because the counter came across here and then stopped, and this was the living room area. You had the bathroom. This was a wall. And then you would go upstairs. This house used to only be this big. Just this little section here. This add-on was put on back in 1996 by two women who lived here because they felt the kitchen was too small. Oh, Leia, you gonna focus, bud? No? Do I gotta restart the recording? You good? All right. They basically felt the living room was too small, so they decided to build the kitchen area here that you see now. So they weren't exactly experienced in the whole contracting. They didn't really hire anybody. They did it themselves. Well, they're experienced enough because, it's holding its own. And they built this room, and originally, apparently from what he told me, was they built it all the way through as one big room. But then they decided later on that because it got so cold in here, they put this door in so they can close the door and keep this room here separated from the kitchen to avoid it getting too cold in the kitchen. I just leave the door open so the cat can take shits. So this is basically what the house used to be. Is just this living room. That's it. So the whole reason why, and this is why I say my electricity is cocked over and stupid, is rather than them running a new line off the panel in the utility closet, under the house, under the floor, into the walls, to power, like this is on 240 volts on its own 2 breakers. There's actually a breaker in the closet called stove. But rather than doing that so you can power the fridge, this outlet which runs the coffee station and the convectional oven, this outlet which runs the toaster, the air fryer, sometimes the pressure cooker, the Magic Bullet, the blender. It also happens to run the washing machine. The dryer's on a 240 volt, which is actually right there. That's on its own circuit too. Rather than doing that, instead what they did was they ran a junction box. And Dad found this. Behind this light, there is a junction. They ran a line from there up and over to the outlet here, broke off of there, and went to the switches. This is the reason why the power in the freaking bathroom also controls this entire room. How ridiculous is that? To change all that over would be way too difficult. Not even going to bother. Not even going to care. So those marks on the ground, that was actually the old entrance to the house. There was an actual door here that would open up and close. And there was a door over there. So that was the main door. And this was the back door that led into the backyard. There was no back door leading into the backyard. That was put in later on. So, interesting, right? Like I said, this house was built in 1904. It's not exactly brand new. But you know what? I like it because it's small, it's cheap to heat. It's perfect for a guy just like me. It's got a garage. It's got a really big driveway. It's got a backyard that I'll never use. Whatever. I saw this place here in the ad listing. At the time it had 2 trees in the backyard. One got hit by lightning. The other one we ripped it out because it was a cedar and it was pissing me off. And it had 2 Manitoba maples in the front yard. One collapsed 2 months prior to me taking over the house. And the other one we took down because, holy crap, it was rubbing on the house and wrecking the shingles. I don't know. I just saw this place and went, yeah, I think that's going to be my home. We checked it out and Dad's like, that place is perfect. Make an offer, aim low, and then barter. I aimed low, but he bit. Sweet, right? Definitely. As of last August, I've lived here for 12 years. I bought this place here back in May of 2006. Took ownership August 1st, 2006. So, floor hasn't caved in yet. Still holding its own. What can I say? Cheap to pay to live here. Way cheaper than rent in this town. Way better than rent in this town. It's not a super huge house. Not like I'm going to get roommates anytime soon. But that's okay. I don't want them. I like living alone. I like to be able to come home from work, do what I want to do and not have to worry about pissing anyone off. Like imagine when I work nights, I got to be quiet because my roommate's sleeping. That would suck, you know? Not being able to come and go as I please because I might wake somebody up. Not being able to have a dog or a cat because my roommate's allergic. That would just suck. I like the whole living on my own. Being my own free man. I want to cook a steak, I'm going to cook a steak. I want to make macaroni, I'm going to make macaroni. If anybody's got a problem with it, cool. You don't live here. Frig off, right? I dig it. I really do. It's quiet living. It's peaceful after a hard day's work. And you don't have to put up with anybody's nonsense, which is always a bonus in my books. This is why when I was watching McJuggerNugget's video, I don't know if you guys watched it, but the one house he looked at, the damn thing was a mansion. For a single guy to live in a house like that, holy crap, would that get creepy at night. This house here is easy to fortify, especially if I'm not an idiot and I lock the door when I'm going upstairs. Jesus Murphy. But yeah, big house like that. Number one, super expensive to heat. Number two, those property taxes. Jesus Murphy, $22,000 a year. Are you freaking serious right now? And number three, $500,000 mortgage on a YouTube salary. Pull your finger out of your ass and figure it out. Now, of course, it's McJuggernuggets we're talking about here, right? This could all just be him, you know, shoving his finger up his ass for views. You never know. A lot of YouTubers like to lie and bitch and complain about stuff that's just, you know, for show to get the audience going to generate views. Guess not a lot of people can keep it real. I try to. I do. Hey man, my house is derelict. I don't give a shit. It's mine. I own it. At least I don't live with mom and dad anymore. Just saying. Because I'm pretty sure being 40 years old and still living at home with your parents is, well, loser level 1 million. Unless, you know, you take care of your parents because they're like, you know, ill and stuff and they need constant supervision, then, well, all I got to say to that is freaking kudos on you. Because not a lot of people would do that. You know, your parents raised you and you're willing to sacrifice it and take care of them in their time of need. Hey, bonus. But if you live at home because you're too scared to leave the nest, time to flap those wings, boys. Time to leave. But anyway, people, that's all I got for today. I really wanted to do that whole part about the house and explain things, especially after the wiring on yesterday. A lot of people are like, why is the house wired like that? I think you needed to know that the room I'm currently pacing in didn't exist until 1996 when it was put in. I'm pretty sure those ladies bought this house for a dime back then and flipped it for $1. You know what I mean? Picked it up for dirt cheap because of the size. It was only like maybe 500 square feet. They added another 400 onto it and upped the value and made some coin on the side. And away you go. Buddy tried to sell it for a decent buck. I lowballed him. He took it. I can imagine he picked it up for pretty cheap too, and he made coin off of me. I don't know. I like living here. It's quiet. My neighbors don't piss me off. They're quiet as long as they don't lay on the horn. It's a good, nice area to live in. I don't party. They don't party. The only guy who parties is the guy way down there, and the only type of partying he does is the old now legal in Canada kind, and it's not a big deal. But anyway, people, on that note, I'm going to shut her down here. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button. Any questions, comments, concerns, down below they go. And until next time, people, keep on vlogging.